You have found what lights you up. I'm your host, Sunny the Life Coach, and I'm here because I see you searching for something or someone out there to help you feel better. Something to take away the pain that you're feeling, the inadequacies. I know all of the things that happen in life can leave you feeling empty. Your search is over. This podcast is all about finding your own freedom and power to love yourself enough to shine in the ways you were always meant to, the ways in which you are already fully capable of. If you're ready for some real talk, some serious truth bombs, and a few F-bombs, you are in the right place. Let's do this. Let's get lit. Hey there, welcome to episode 57. This conversation with my friend Carlene Saelg was absolutely mind-blowing. I came away from this feeling such a high vibe energy. Every time I have another one of these talks with my amazing friends, I just feel so reconnected to myself, my true self, my authentic or higher self. It just blows me away. Trying on new lenses in which to view the world. All of my friends show me these opportunities, and it's such a beautiful thing. And what Carlene brings is so unique and different than anything I've done so far on this podcast. And I'm here for it. Now, I want you to just release all of your expectations for today's episode and listen with an open mind. That's something I've been practicing for a while now and can tell you from experience that when you don't have an agenda and you don't try to control the outcome or you don't have a plan for how something is going to go down, the most incredible moments come to you. That's what happened during my visit with Carlene. And it was a visit. She reminded me of how much I miss having her physically near me. Let me tell you a little bit about who she is. Then I'll give you some highlights of what we're going to talk about today. Carlene is a multi-dimensional psychic healer and business coach. She communicates daily in the higher realms with her masters, teachers, and loved ones. With over 20 years of experience as an entrepreneur and business coach, Carlene has owned several traditional retail businesses as well as spiritually based businesses. Nothing brings her more joy than combining her business expertise and spiritual gifts to further the careers of other spiritual coaches. This last part especially is so very true about Carlene, and I think you're going to be able to interpret that even through audio only. You will hear her joy. And she's going to explain what she means by spiritual coach as well, because it's not what I thought it meant going into this. I met Carlene when she had one of those retail businesses locally, right here in our lovely downtown. At this shop, she was hosting a meetup group of holistic entrepreneurs that I was a part of, and she would also host Tai Chi instruction. I'd always wanted to try Tai Chi, and let me tell you, it's a magical experience. It really is. Now, you'll recall that in the early days of the pandemic, in spring of 2020, we all experienced some form of lockdown where there were no more in-person events. All businesses not deemed essential had to close, and life as we knew it was disrupted almost immediately. I personally started spending more time on social media just to stay connected with my friends in real life. And one day I see this post from Carlene in her car saying, "Peace out, I've closed the store, sold the house, and we're headed to Florida." I was like, what? You see, Carlene is one of those people who views a challenge as an opportunity. She basically saw right away that the world was changing, and she wasn't going to sit around and wait for things to go back to the way they were. She saw an opportunity to take her work 100% online and then said, well, I can do that from anywhere. Put me near the beach. And that's what she did, just like that. Another human showing us an example of what's possible. Now, Carlene is very in touch with the spiritual realm. Of course, I knew this about her, but really diving into these topics was such an eye opening experience. And that's really what I'm here for. All of the amazing experiences this life has to offer. And even opening yourself up to the idea that what if it isn't just this life and this planet and this 3D, very binary and linear way of seeing the world and our place in it? What if there's more than that? Ooh, that gets so very fascinating. I wanted to talk about 5D consciousness and what that really means, to hear it from someone that I know personally and trust implicitly. I'm telling you, I learned so much about myself in this conversation that I'm still lit up from it, tuned in, aware, awakened, or as Carlene refers to it, and as I've heard from many other spiritual beings, I'm remembering. So, we're going to talk a lot about how most of us have come to experience life and how vastly different Carlene's experience is. She's going to offer things you can try to deepen your own experience. And you can take any part of what she shares that resonates with you and leave the rest. Again, just being open is the part that is going to feel wonderful. And ultimately, that's all I'm doing with any of these episodes, introducing a new way to think of yourself and this life that you're living, a new way to see things. Why not include this option too? Okay, I'm not trying to make this intro too long. I just want to give you a little background on how I landed on this topic. Just two more things, and we'll get to my visit with Carlene. First, I want to share that I had meant to ask her how she got into the world of holistic healing and spirituality. And I got so mesmerized by the discussion that we were having that I forgot to do that. I didn't ask her the one thing that I thought was so important. But something amazing happened when I listened to the playback. I realized that she answered that question throughout. It all came out anyway. Probably even in better ways than it would have if it were an answer to a direct question. She's just going to naturally tell you how and when. Listen for that, because those moments were wow moments for me when I heard them later. That's being intuitive, my friends. Second, if you've ever wished that you had the superpower to be invisible, Carlene is going to tell you how it's done. It's literally a power that you already have. It's a power that I already have. I couldn't even believe that she brought it up in the last 20 minutes or so of this episode, and she told me exactly how it works. Unreal. I think that was my favorite part. Okay, enough psyching you up. Let's get to this. Welcome, Carlene. I am so grateful to have you here, and it's so wonderful to see you again. I've missed you.
I've missed you too. I'm so excited to be here. It's just a pleasure of mine to not only be on a podcast, but to be talking to you because you're a
Oh,
friend as well. So I'm so happy.
oh, yay, yay, yay. Um, let's start with what lights you up.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so I almost had trouble talking or thinking about what actually lights me up because I do this work every single day that I had to think, okay, if I had to distill this down to what really lights me up, it is literally doing the work. And I call it doing the work, but really it's about just exactly what we're doing today, talking about people, inspiring people to deepen their spiritual practice while also, tapping into the fact that we all have this multi-dimensional power that is basically the ultimate goal of planetary and human ascension, right?
Ooh,
So
ascension.
yeah,
Yeah.
and it's a global thing, but it has to happen individually for everyone to experience it for themselves, but then come together and tap into the collective so that we can actually you know get out of this negative fog that is, I guess it's like a fog that's just kind of keeping and damping this planet down in that negativity, right? So I call it doing the work. And that's absolutely what lights me up, is talking to new people, talking to people who are doing it and have been doing it for centuries, even, right? Even in their past lives.
Mm-hmm.
So it's definitely not only doing the work for myself, but also teaching it to others, right?
Yeah, and I love that you're putting a positive connotation on the word work, because
Yeah.
we think that work has to be hard. I mean, that's kind of what our society teaches us, is that, oh, work, ooh, it's a dirty word, you know?
Well, actually, if you think about that even in a different way, is, even when we were growing up and you're like, well, what am I going to do when I grow up? And people are always like, do what you love and you'll never feel like you're working a day in your life.
Right.
It's totally how you perceive work,
Yes.
because it doesn't have to be this negative thing. It's just that for the most part, most of society is in a job that they hate. They're
Right.
not doing what they love. So work has become a negative word,
Oh, no
right?
kidding. I love it. I love it. Okay, we are starting off with all the good stuff
Jumping right in
right
there,
there,
right?
jumping right in. I love it, love it, love it. All right, so I really wanted to bring you on today to get into the realm of spiritual, if you will. And I've been hearing more and more about 5D over the past year, and how we are all familiar with living life in 3D, and that there's also a fourth and fifth dimension. Can you tell me what that means? I mean, how would you describe the 3D, 4D, 5D
Well,
concept?
I don't know. Well, okay, I'll tell you exactly how I think of it. Okay. But
Okay.
first, I just want to say that everything that we're doing in this timeline and this life is an experience, right? So it's just an
Mm.
experience, and how you perceive your experiences and what you're doing to really amplify that experience is going to help you move through these other dimensions, right? Because first, what are the other dimensions, right? Because right now we're just in 3D, and most people are like, okay, it's 3D. I don't even know what 3D means, right?
Right, right.
But 3D, to be very open and transparent, is going to sound a little negative, because this world and where we are right now is rooted in clearing karmic dramas, right? In that negative karma, clearing it,
Mhm.
learning our lessons. And all of this is a bit hard, right? So that could be considered the work, right? But it's also in coming in and raising the vibration, the conscious level, or, where we are right now, not only individually, but collectively, so that we can get out of this 3D matrix, if you will, right? And it is kind of a matrix because we're being held down, kind of tamped in this place, because I don't know how far you really want me to go off and talking about things, but there are external forces, ET races and beings and things like that, that are of the dark. Of course, there are others that are of the light, and
Mhm.
there's literally a fight between good and evil right now, between good and bad, between light and dark.
Mhm.
And the darkness, if you will, the dark side, is trying to keep us here in this 3D, because
Mhm.
we can be controlled. They can control the narrative, they can control us,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
And I'm not at all talking about politics
Mhm.
or any of the other conspiracy theories, anything like that. I'm not even talking about any of that stuff, just talking about energetically
Mhm.
where we are and how we can move through the dimensions. And if you feel like every day you wake up and you're kind of trudging along and moving through mud, it's because you literally are. You
Yeah,
literally are.
because it's been designed that way. Our world has been designed that way. So that is like what 3D is. And I appreciate the Matrix reference. I think that, because I think that everyone can understand that, if, just
Yeah.
thinking of it in those terms. And I
Mhm.
think maybe on some level we all at least understand that our lives are showing up, we are showing up in our daily lives as it has been designed for us to show up in our daily lives. It kind of goes back to how we first started out talking about work, and now you're talking about, waking up and going through your day like you're trudging through mud. Yeah, I know. I have felt that before. I know many of my friends and many of our listeners feel that way.
Right. And it's basically about understanding that there is an outside force trying to tamp us down. And
Mhm.
that work that I was talking about really becomes the practice of bringing in the light and really allowing yourself to increase that vibration and to really allow for, and I say allow a lot because we really do need to allow this process to happen,
Mhm.
but it does require us to realize that we're a willing participant.
Right.
We are a willing participant.
We've
We
been
can't
playing
just
along.
stop.
We've been playing along, playing the game exactly as it was intended for us to play.
Right.
So that
So,
is 3D in a
right.
nutshell.
Yes. Okay. So just to go one step further with that,
Mhm.
when I said that there was like this good and evil battle kind of thing that's going on, right? We do have lots of other forces and ETs that are of the light, that are good, that are helping us to ascend. So there is this, possibility of one side be winning over the other kind of thing. And that's why it feels so hard right now. But the shifts are happening so quickly that
Mhm.
we don't have to worry about, oh my gosh, this is a losing battle. What am I going to do? Right? It's not that. We absolutely should feel positive about the world, the planet, the universe moving through these ascension processes, right? Because it
Mhm.
really is, we do have control, but we don't understand as much as we should that we literally can change our existence in the snap of a finger. Just in a thought process, we can change our world.
Mm.
So, yeah. So getting into the other dimensions, right? So 4D, I know that a lot of people are like, some actually think that 4D is a place, or something that we're going to move to and have to experience before going to 5D. But really, I like to think of it as a gateway, right? So 4D is really about time and space. And if visually this might help, if you're thinking, you can think of it like a hallway from getting from one room to the next.
Mhm.
It's just a gateway that you're going to move through. And really, mostly our animals are hanging out in 4D because we just are moving so quickly, and that shift is happening so fast that we're not really going to hang out there. We're not going to experience it too much. We're going to just be like, whoa, I just moved through something.
Hmm.
And it's okay. You don't need to know what it is. You just don't need to know, right? Because it's all happening so quickly that when we get to 5D, you're absolutely going to know you're there. And many of us, and myself including, are experiencing many of our 5D powers right now while we're still experiencing the 3D world.
Mhm.
And that's amazing.
And I think the reason that I have been hearing more about this over the past year is because we are, as humans, we are constantly seeking answers. It's like, what is happening right now? What is happening with this pandemic? What is happening with um, uh, probably an awakening, hopefully an awakening around racism and all of those, and oppression and our systems, all of those things. I mean, just looking at that, um, and seeing that there have been a lot of shifts over the past year,
Mhm.
I think has a lot of us in a place of questioning, and curiosity and all of that. Is that being in the hallway
Um,
or not?
Possibly.
Mhm.
Again, I don't want it to be concrete because this is
Right.
not, we're talking about energy, right? We're talking
Mhm.
about energetic consciousness.
Mhm.
So I don't want to put any kind of concrete walls around the hallway. You know what I
Sure,
mean?
sure.
So in one respect, I also even kind of think that this time that we experienced, this shutdown, this pandemic shutdown,
Mhm.
it has allowed us to really reconvene with ourselves, right? And to
Right.
really get to know who we are on a cellular level, on an energetic level again. And so many people are having exactly what you said, like an awakening.
Mm-hmm.
And really what I call an awakening is more a remembering.
Yes.
It's a remembering of who we are and how powerful we are. It's mind blowing when you think about all the different things that you can do in the 5D world, because you can manifest instantly. I mean, you can, in a thought's time, you can manifest absolutely anything that you want.
Tell me
And
about it. Tell me
it's
about
not
that.
even really about manifesting material things,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So if I was to explain 5D to you, really, I guess the best way to describe it, I'll describe it first, and then I'll tell you about a little bit about how to get there, right?
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Perfect.
So 5D is really very energetic, very cerebral. It's very emotional. It is our soul being able to do all of the different things that this 3D body has been tamped down and unable to experience. Okay. So when you have that awakening and that remembering of all these different things that you can do, and you start experiencing those things, it blows your mind. It literally blows your mind. And a lot of this is happening in our dream state and what I like to call the in-between.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The in-between for me is that time between when I'm not fully awake and not fully asleep.
Mm-hmm.
And there's actually several, there's quite a while when you're actually laying down in your bed with your head on your pillow and your eyes are closed, that you are lucid, that you are very much in control of everything. Your body is just resting.
Wow.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
But everything else is still active and still going out and doing things and astral traveling and being in different timelines. And I do all these things. I astral travel, I jump timelines. I've experienced my family in different parallel timelines. I have past life memories. I've been psychic since I was a kid, know things before they happen. All of these different things does not make me special.
Mm-hmm.
It just doesn't make me special. It just, there's a remembering that happens sooner for me than for others.
Mm.
Right. So
Mm-hmm.
that's what I like to kind of tell people, is that I'm not special in any way, shape, or form. It's just that I've been awakened earlier. When I was a kid, I knew beyond a shadow of a doubt that I wasn't a kid.
Oh.
I felt inside that I was old. I
Mm.
knew I was old. And it wasn't until adulthood that I actually knew, because of past life memories, that I was not just old, but I was ancient.
Wow.
Yes, I've experienced many lifetimes in ancient Egypt and before, in Mayan cultures and in indigenous cultures here in the United States, all different experiences that I've had, but also medieval times, but also even dates, I guess, if you want to call them dates, or timelines that were not that far ago, far past.
Mm-hmm.
So in all different respects, because time is not linear. Time is actually happening all at one time. It's happening all at the same time, if you will. So being able to jump into different timelines is not some spectacular feat or skill. It's just that I have practiced, again, doing the work, practicing, calling in my spirit guides, my helpers, my loved ones, my teachers and guides, all the people I call my spiritual team on the other side in the higher realms, right?
Mm-hmm.
I call them in to help me every single day. And I always have gratitude, right? I always have gratitude. So that's all part of the work, right?
Mm-hmm.
Having this spiritual practice is what is going to help you accelerate opening up and remembering how to get to and experience your 5D powers, right? I call them powers just because I like to, they're not
Yeah.
really
Well, why not?
powers, but they, to
Yeah.
me, they're powerful, right?
Of course.
Yeah. So, the 5D world literally is happening in our imagination. Okay. But beyond that, you can call it happening in your imagination, or you can say you're leaving your body, right? Either way, it's the same thing. It is literally the same thing. You are leaving your body. So even daydreaming, okay, let's boil it down to daydreaming, right? You're fully awake, but you're in another place. You're dreaming of something else. You are literally having some other experience. Who is to say that that experience isn't real? Because you feel things, you can cry, you can laugh, you can have real deep emotion tied to whatever it was you were just imagining and thinking about inside your head, right? That is a real experience. You literally went somewhere else.
Wow. Okay. So daydreaming is actually going somewhere else.
Yes,
Like,
absolutely.
wow.
So, and that's this, a lot of times when I'm talking with people, I get channeled information. So when we decided we would do this podcast, I had no idea I would even be talking about daydreaming, right?
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
just came in. It's just part of the conversation because that's what I was being nudged to talk about, right? Because it's the easiest way for someone who isn't fully awake yet or fully aware or fully in their abilities or their practice, their spiritual practice to do these things every day like I do, to wrap their heads around that, right? It's a simple daydream. But what about when you're actually asleep and you're having a dream, or you wake up and you say, that was so much more than a dream, that felt so real? It's because it is real. It really did happen.
So while our bodies are resting, our spirits, our
Our
souls, our
consciousness.
minds are maybe traveling,
Absolutely.
having
Yeah,
other experiences.
absolutely.
And we can sometimes remember those as our dreams or bits and pieces of those. And
Yes.
some of us remember more than others.
Yes. And you know why that is?
Mm.
Why do some people remember more than others? Again, it's because of different things that are happening here in the 3D world. The use of fluoride, that calcifies your pineal gland. It's actually hardening it. That's the center of your third eye. That's where your entire imagination and your ability to do all the amazing things we're talking about happens in that third eye, right? Being able to see more than what your eyes can see right here in the third dimension. Right?
You know, that's so interesting. I'm always refusing the fluoride that my dentist wants to give me. And I, don't really have a reason, you
Now you
know?
do.
Now I do. I'm like, whoa. I mean, yeah, but instinctively, I'm just like, I don't want that, you know? It's like talking about the nudge and talking about like your
Right. So
inner,
isn't that amazing?
yes, like your inner voice and stuff like that. There's something that always said, no, that's a no. You don't want that.
Exactly.
Wow.
I'm glad that you listened to that, because
Wow.
our intuition will never fail us. That is our connection to the higher realms, to our higher self, giving you information to say, that's not what you need.
Mm-hmm.
So if you
Mm-hmm.
listen to that, you will never go wrong, and don't doubt it. So here's another way to practice too, just a simple little practice. When you think to yourself, or you have a feeling, you can call it a gut feeling, right? Because that's what it is, but it's your intuition.
Mm-hmm.
And it says, you know what, you probably should go back and pick that thing up that you just passed on the while you're walking on the sidewalk, whatever it was, right? And I have this reference only because it just happened to me this morning on my walk.
Okay.
And I passed it and I was like, oh, that doesn't look like anything. And then I thought, no, listen to your intuition. I went back and I picked it up. And it was just a reminder to me. It wasn't anything spectacular. It was a plastic, multifaceted, almost moonstone looking plastic kind of gem or something, right? But it was plastic. It was worthless. I guess you can call it worth. Nothing's really worthless, right? But it was not a diamond, right?
Right. Right.
But I picked it up because my intuition told me to do it. And it was just a reminder that even this little plastic thing has beauty and has purpose,
Mm.
right? And it was just a reminder that I was out enjoying life, right? That I had my feet on the ground and that I was doing what I was supposed to be doing. And it was just a pleasant little reminder. But if I didn't listen to my intuition, I wouldn't have picked that up, and I wouldn't have had that little, oh, it's like stopping to smell the roses, right? It was like just that little instance to say, go back and take a second look at this little thing of beauty that you just passed.
Mm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And I had to listen to my intuition to do it. But I've learned over the years, because when you don't listen to your intuition and something happens, you're like, dang it, I knew I should have listened to myself. I should have done it, and then you want to kick yourself in the butt because you didn't do it. And it just is a matter of recognizing when you have the thought, when you have the gut feeling, to listen to it, right? That's just another part of the work, the practice.
Okay. Listen to your intuition.
Yeah.
You mentioned calling on your guides on a daily basis. Is that something that happens down the road? Or, I mean, can someone get started on that today? How would they do that?
Sure. So basically, we're doing this whether we realize it or not, because
Mm-hmm.
before we came into this world, into this 3D existence, this lifetime, we had a life plan that we formed with our spiritual council, our team of people on the other side, right? So we have a whole plan. And whether you get shoved off the timeline or not, you're going to come back to it, because it's your plan. It's what you're designed to do. It's what you were brought here for. It's your life's purpose. So, people always talk about, well, I don't know what my life's purpose is. Well, you will if you just get quiet. If you just get quiet and listen. And when I say that, I'm really talking about doing some meditation. And it doesn't have to be some guided thing. It doesn't have to have, music in the background, and it doesn't have to have some quiet, soothing man voice talking you down into a,
Into a trance. Yes.
it doesn't have to be all that, but there are certain things that can help, like certain sounds, like the Tibetan singing bowls. If you're listening to singing bowls while you're meditating, you will literally raise your vibration, when you raise your vibration, you can get into deeper states of the 5D world and using your powers, right?
Wow.
So it's pretty awesome that to do the practice. Okay, how about I just kind of give you an example of what I do on a daily basis?
That would be fantastic.
Would that be good? Because,
Yeah.
Whether you do it or not, you're going to maybe take what I say and you'll spin it off into what works for you. And yay, that's what you should be doing, right?
Exactly. Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect.
So even people who have told me, do this type of meditation. Well, I might start off that way, but it morphs into its own thing because it's what works for me.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, when I wake up in the morning, I will put my earphones in and listen to Tibetan singing bowls, because it helps me focus my consciousness, if you bring that energy up, right? And as I bring that energy up, it's expanding, and I can literally, even as I'm raising my hands saying these things, my energy is just going up and up and up, and the vibration in my hands is crazy, right? Because I'm literally asking the vibration to move up through my body. And as I do that, just by my hand movements, because I am so practiced at it, it happens immediately for me. I can be in a super relaxed state, connected to the earth and the trees, and also at the same time have my consciousness up as high as I possibly can get, right? Now, if I get too high, literally, I'm just going to poof and disappear. That's not happened yet. It's happened to a few people, but
Oh my gosh.
I'm not practiced enough for that to actually happen. When it does, if I disappear and you can no longer get a hold of me, I've went to 5D permanently.
Oh no. I mean, good for you, but okay, we will miss you.
Right. So that's just part of what I do in the morning. Right. So even after I finish that, I might do that, however long it feels good to you. For me, it's usually around 20 minutes or so. So I just love the way it feels. It feels addicting to have your energy and your vibration up that high. It feels fantastic, right? But I also have things to do, so I have to get on with my day. So around 20 minutes, I move into my next part of my practice, which then is more about manifesting and abundance, and how am I going to externally radiate all of that to everyone who comes into my sphere of influence, right? Anyone who comes into contact with me. I always want to leave people with a sense of abundance, right? A sense of, I don't know, more, just more, right? And beyond that, I'm also manifesting certain other things, right? And those can be your private thoughts. You don't have to tell everybody what you're manifesting, right? But you're just in a place of calling in the abundance, really bringing it in, right? And you've probably heard of the movie The Secret and talk about the law of attraction and all this kind of stuff, which is fantastic, but it's only one piece, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's a whole other piece to actually making attraction work for you.
Yeah.
And that piece is your vibration.
Mm-hmm.
It's literally tying your emotions to whatever it is that you're seeking and literally seeing it, making it real in your head, just like that daydream we talked about earlier. You have to make it real inside of you for it actually to materialize in this 3D world,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
right? When you're obviously in 5D, you don't have to think so hard. It's literally a thought and you manifest instantly, absolutely instantly. And you don't even need all the basic constructs of the 3D world, right? You don't even really need the water or the housing and the food. I mean, yes, you might need it because you'll instantly manifest, right? But there will be no need for actually going to a job. There will be no need for a monetary system. All of these things will just go away. We don't need them.
Mm.
And your work will actually be more joy than it will be work, right? So after I finished doing those two types of meditations where I'm grounding, raising my vibration, manifesting, then I move into basically a clearing and cleansing ritual, right? And this is what I do in the shower. So after I'm finished with my meditations, I get in the shower and I start my day, right? So I'm not only washing my body, but I'm washing my chakras. I'm expanding my energy centers and literally doing a full body scan of what needs a little extra attention, what needs an energy healing. I'm also a Reiki master and I do frequency infusions that has basically been passed down to me from Pleiadians, so it's amazing, these different things that we have access to.
Mm-hmm.
So do I ever feel like, even during this whole pandemic, did I ever feel at risk? No, because I know that I can heal myself and do, and I don't want that to sound nutso, right? Crazy, because I know beyond a shadow of a doubt that I can help my body do what it needs to do to live a long and prosperous life.
Mm-hmm.
And I have done that for the past 20 years. I have never gotten the flu shot. Well, I didn't know, that's a lie. Mm-hmm. I did once in college and that was it, right? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I just don't really prescribe too much to Western medicine. I mean, if I broke my leg, I'm going to go get it set. I'm going to go to the doctor, right?
Right.
But any other kind of sickness or illness, I'm a master herbalist. I do all these things because in many past generations, I was also a healer. Mm-hmm. So I know these things. I instinctively, but also have, read and researched and have certifications and licenses to be able to do these things for myself and my family. Mm-hmm. So it's just the direction my life has taken, right?
Yeah. And I love too that, that you're bringing up, like, having no fear of the pandemic, because I felt the same way. And, never, ever was concerned about it. And nor have I had a flu shot in forever. And because it just doesn't occur to me, it's almost like when we're talking about manifesting, right? If you're putting thought toward fear of being sick or that kind of thing, it's kind of more likely to come to you.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely. So, because you can manifest in the positive sense and you can manifest in the negative sense. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's just the reality of it. I mean, think about people who always seem to be sick or always seem to be getting into trouble or always seem to be hurting themselves or always seem to be having some major obstacle happening in their life.
Yeah.
What are they thinking about? What are they doing? What does their life look like? They're usually in a very negative place. Mm-hmm. And surrounded by drama. Mm-hmm. Happy, joyful people aren't the ones really getting sick and aren't really and that's a full generalization, right? So let's not be that, I don't want to say if you're a joyful person, you're never going to get sick, right?
Right. Yeah, because we do still have, human bodies, and we are susceptible to illness and disease, and that's, and
But
broken
it all,
bones. And yeah.
you're right, but it all does absolutely stem from fear.
Mm-hmm.
And in my mind, I've always known this, okay? There's basically two emotions that every other emotion stems from. And there's nothing above these two emotions, right? So one is fear and one is love.
Yeah.
There's nothing above those, but every other emotion stems from fear and love. So when someone has, I've been asked this before, you probably have been asked this before, what's the opposite of love? And most people would say hate.
Mm-hmm.
It's not true. It's fear.
It's fair. Yeah.
It's fear.
And I've
Because
heard many times, fear and love cannot exist in the same place. So even as like our audience isn't going to be able to see this, but when you said fear and love, you raised your hands like, on one side or the other,
yeah,
right? But they can't connect. They can't coexist,
right.
right?
Well, if it's right or not, I don't really know. I mean, do we have some fears around things? But fear is just really a matter of um, perception, right? So
Mm-hmm.
we can easily change our perception. We just have to first get in touch with where is that fear stemming from and
Mm-hmm.
how can we change our perception around it. As soon as you do that, you move into love.
Yes, and so much of the fear that I see is the fear of the unknown. Even if we're talking about, oh, I'm afraid I might get COVID, I might die, I might, those kind of things. Um, so if most of our fear is coming from the unknown, and we never really know what is going to happen or in the future, it's like we're talking about this whole 5D world that is the unknown, and you like are gravitating toward it, you're thriving in it, you're loving it. Or do you have a knowing? Or is it just a level of knowing that you will be safe no matter what? I mean, what is that?
So are you saying a knowing of being in the 5D world or a knowing that I'm not going to get sick or have a fear around getting sick?
The 5D.
Okay, so I absolutely feel that I'm in and out of 5D on a daily basis,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's wonderful. And sometimes I'm like, oh, do I have to get up and start doing things, right? Because I'd rather just stay there, right? Because it's amazing and you can do amazing things. But there is also the real knowledge that I came to this planet at this time, at this very crucial time, to join hands with other light workers, other star seeds, other people who are doing the work to
Mm-hmm.
raise the consciousness of this planet and of humanity so that we can get out of the fear-based matrix. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So do I ever think, oh, I'm gonna get COVID and die? No, because I know that if I get the virus, I can fix myself.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not afraid of it. I'm also not afraid of dying.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a big difference there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you want to talk about, there's fear on both ends, right? People are getting the vaccine because they are fear-based,
Mm-hmm.
right? They're like, oh my gosh, I don't want to get this, and I don't want to even have the chance of getting it, right? But here's the thing, it's not good or bad that you're getting a vaccine. If you want to and you believe that it's going to keep you safe, go get that vaccine, because you used your 5D powers to create and emotionally attach to the fact that if you get stuck with this needle, that you will be fine.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where you should stay, right? Because that's going to keep you safe.
Mm.
But it doesn't do you any good to demonize or be negative towards someone who chooses not to, because they have the same thought process and have tied emotion to, if I don't get it, I'm also safe.
Exactly. Thank you for bringing that up. Thank you for bringing in the right or wrong, the good or bad, all of those things that I guess our 3D perception assigns to things. It's like this has been going on since, for the entire entirety of the past year and more. I mean, just even masks, wear a mask, don't wear a mask. Everyone gets very emotional about that. But I think it's very similar to what you're saying about the vaccines. Like the people that don't want to wear masks feel very strongly about that. They're very, rooted in their convictions and their beliefs. And that is what it is.
Right. But it's more than cerebral. It's bringing in the heart, right?
Yeah.
Because they've attached their emotions to it.
Mm-hmm.
That is what ties together that whole manifestation. It's
Mm-hmm.
thinking and imagining, but tying your emotion to it that creates your reality,
Mm-hmm.
right? So if you have a person over here who is adamant about not wearing a mask and not getting a shot, and they have all of their emotions surrounding it, that they don't need it, it's a hoax, it's this, it's that, it doesn't matter, I'm not doing it. Fine, let them be. They're not going to get sick because they believe they're not going to get sick.
Mm-hmm.
Just as this other person over here on the other side believes that if they don't get the vaccine, if they don't wear their mask, they're going to get sick
Mm.
because they've tied their emotions to their imaginary thoughts, right? To their imagination, to what's going on in their third eye and what their perception of life.
So
It's all
beliefs,
real.
so beliefs and universal laws, like the law of allowing, right? And all of these and your vibrations, all of these things play into living in 5D.
The only thing that's different is that you understand the difference, right?
Mm-hmm.
You understand that you can do and have anything that you want at a thoughts moment,
Mm-hmm.
right? Or a thoughts notice.
Mm-hmm.
Because it literally is a thought away. You don't have to do anything to make something happen. You just think it and it happens. That's a thoughts notice, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I guess that is the big difference, right? Is it's understanding that we can live in harmony and allow each person their experience without it affecting you in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
Here on this 3D matrix, we think that, especially on social media,
Mm-hmm.
that someone has to jump into a conversation and clear it up or start an argument because their views are right. Well, you know what? There's also this phenomenon where we're seeking out people who believe and think the way we do. And then there's that pack mentality that starts to happen and it starts to blow up and,
Mm-hmm.
it's needless and it's all rooted in fear. It's all rooted in negativity and keeping you in this 3D matrix. If
Mm-hmm.
you can release yourself from that, this is why I don't watch TV. TV is television, right? It's television. They're
Yeah.
literally telling you what you should be thinking and seeing and feeling.
Mm.
I don't even watch TV. I mean, occasionally I do. I mean, I'll watch a series or something on Netflix or something like that. But do I watch mainstream TV? Absolutely not.
Right. You'll
There
just
were
pick something
genuine-
on demand. You'll pick something that you're attracted to in terms of, that's going to feed your high vibration, or it's going to support that. Yeah.
Right, right. And for years and years and years, I didn't even own a TV.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And when I did own a TV, it was because I had a dog. And when I left for work, I'd put the food channel on for him. And I'd be like, okay, I expect dinner when I get home.
For the dog. It's great.
And then I'd come home and I'd turn the TV off. So it was just literally, I got the TV for the dog. So he had some noise and some companionship in the house and I was at work. Right now, I'm super, super glad that I have the opportunity to work from home because because of the pandemic, I actually had a retail store and I had to close it down. Obviously, we all had to close down, right? But it afforded me that opportunity to rethink what is it that I really want to do.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew in a moment's notice that I needed to do the work, but not only do the work, but teach the work and bring others in. I've always, always known this, but it just provided the perfect opportunity to go online and reach people exactly where they're at.
Yeah.
So I literally have like two different ways for people to connect with me and to help spread the good that is needed to raise our consciousness and to literally ascend not just humanity, but this planet.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's so we could go off in like 1,000 different directions right at this moment, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I know we don't have time to do that, but I could totally talk about ET races and how they're helping us, and why, we're going through, we've just completed a 26,000 year cycle. We've entered into the age of Aquarius. This is completely an amazing moment in time, but it is also why this planet being located exactly where it is, not just in our universe, but in the multi-universe, it has a ripple effect on all the other planets and ET races out in the multiverse. That is why it is such a struggle between good and bad, between the different forces out there. Is literally wars happening out there for the ascension of this planet to literally happen, because it affects so many other races out there, other planets out there. This is proven fact. This is not Carlene just conjuring up something in my brain. It's proven fact that there are other planets that are Earth-like, that literally look like Earth, that have all the same things as Earth, meaning air and water and, trees and what have you. There's billions of them. This is proven by science. I think it was just a year or two ago that this was all over the newspapers, that there's a billion other planets that are exactly Earth-like. So why is it this planet that is having so much strife happening between, are we going to go down this horrible negative cycle and stay in this 3D matrix where it's all about clearing negative karma and negativity and all of that, or are we going to ascend? Well, it's already been decided this planet will ascend. It's just, when is that going to happen?
Okay.
Right? It's already happening. It's just, will it happen in our lifetime as a collective event, or will it still be individual? And honestly, the way things are going right now, I personally, and this is just my opinion, I personally think right now it's still an individual thing. I still think that it's individual practice, and then that person going out and teaching someone else, right? This is my whole goal. This is why I have a membership for new spiritual coaches to come in and learn the practices and really get their feet wet in the coaching world. And then I have another program that literally takes people who are already doing the work and having amazing results and scale their results, right? Because here's the thing, in the 3D matrix, most people are very concerned about money and manifesting money, right? Even spiritual coaches, because we're still in this 3D world. Now imagine if all the spiritual coaches are millionaires, what could we do then? Yeah. Because our resources are immeasurable at that point, right? Right. Because we have what we need in this 3D matrix to literally do the things we need to do on the spiritual side, to get more people to hear the message, to get more people to do the work, to do the practice, to raise their vibration, to raise their consciousness. When that happens, it could absolutely be a collective event where this planet and humanity actually ascends. But until that happens, I truly do believe it's an individual thing, which is why my mission right now is to bring as many people into my sphere of influence as possible and get them connected with me so that we can get them to be amazing coaches. Yeah. In the spiritual world.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
That's a perfect segue into, how does one do that if someone is interested in, and do you only work with coaches?
No. So anyone who is on the spiritual journey, it could be literally a tarot reader. It could be a psychology professor. It could be a therapist, a chiropractor, a holistic doctor.
Okay.
Anybody who is in those types of fields, they're already spiritually connected. They're already doing that work, right? Whether it looks different to you and me, doesn't really matter. They're doing the work, right? So those are the people that I really work with. I've just sort of narrowed it down to saying spiritual coaches, because that could be many different people.
Gotcha. Okay. No, I love it. I love it. It just that kind of almost creates a certain identity, if you will, when I hear that phrase, but you mean it on such a deeper, broader level than, okay.
Yeah. So even life coaches,
Yeah.
people who are um, only working with someone who has mindset issues, right? Because a
Mm-hmm.
lot of life coaches work with mindset issues, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not a life coach, so I don't know exactly what life coaches do, but I'm pretty sure that a lot of it has to do with mindset and limiting beliefs and all of that kind of stuff and
Yep.
manifesting. And it just sort of blends into getting into the spiritual side of life.
Mm-hmm.
It just
Yeah.
does. You really can't help it, because if you're manifesting and trying to help someone change their mindset, guess what you're doing? You're tapping into your 5D powers,
Yeah.
right? You absolutely are. And there are
Mm.
so many different things, like I said right before, where we could get off into so many different areas to talk about. I mean, we didn't even talk about astral travel or jumping the timelines or, all these different things that you can do, becoming invisible.
No,
Even,
what?
yeah, I know, right?
Yeah.
Okay, let me give you an example, because that one does seem a little far-fetched, right? You're like, I can't be invisible. Come on.
Well,
Let
hang
me
on
give you an
before you go there. Two things about
sure.
about invisibility. There is like it's like for some reason, whenever that question of if you could have any superpower, it's that's the one that comes to mind first. It's like if you could have any superpower, what would it be? And I would be like, I would be invisible. Then the second thing is, what's so funny about that is that you know I will go somewhere, like I'm standing at a counter waiting for service or something like that, and I'm sitting there going, "Am I freaking invisible right now?" I mean,
Oh
hello?
my. So you know all about coincidence and synchronicities and all that, right? So this is exactly, I was just going to tell you a story about being invisible and how you can tell that you are in your 5D consciousness
All right, tell me.
when you feel like you're invisible. Because here's an example, right? When you're driving in your car and you're just having a high day, right? You just feel fantastic. Your vibration is super high. You're just loving life. You're just going about your business, not bothering anybody. You're playing your music. You just feel fantastic. And some dummy just pulls right out in front of you. Like they don't even see you, right? You're just like, am I invisible?
Yeah.
And just like what you said, you're standing at the counter. This literally just happened to me yesterday when I was at the vet,
Mhm.
right? Because you can't go into the vet right now. Everything is just call us and we'll come out to the car. And I call them and 25 minutes later, still nobody. I'm like, am I invisible? What's going on here? Right?
Yeah.
Literally, they didn't even know I was there. I'm like, I just spoke to somebody.
Oh, wow.
Right? But this is how you know that you are and have absolutely the ability and the power to be invisible.
Oh,
Because
that's
other
crazy.
people are vibrating on their vibration. Their frequency is lower than yours.
Oh,
They literally cannot see you. They
oh,
don't perceive your presence. It's more than seeing you, right? Because
yeah.
perception is about feeling as well.
Mhm.
They don't perceive that you're there,
Wow.
even though your body is right there.
So, my vibration is just operating at such a high frequency. Oh, that's great. I love that one.
Yes. Yeah. And when you realize that you're there, you're like, wow, okay, now I don't have to get pissed off at them, right?
Right. Exactly. Oh my gosh, I'm in
Just
tears
like
right
if
now.
you're at a party and someone's like, I didn't see you there. Well, I was there. I talked to 3, 4 different people.
Ah,
I didn't see you there. Well, I was there. You were vibrating at a different frequency. They didn't perceive your presence.
oh, that is crazy, and crazy in a fantastic kind of way. Not crazy
Right?
like I don't believe you. Like I immediately believe you because I've had those experiences.
Yes.
Um, and because I keep thinking I want that to be my superpower, which is so funny because
It is
because
your
whenever it comes up, it's never convenient. It's like
no,
that's not what I meant. I don't know
but it's a
why. I don't.
practice in allowing,
Yeah.
right?
Wow.
So if we bring it back to allowing, and
Hmm.
I have to remind myself of this too, because yesterday I was pissed off at the vet that I had to wait 25 minutes.
Yeah, I would be too, for sure. Oh my
But
gosh.
you bring it back, you center yourself, you ground, and you think you just have to allow other people to have their experience. You're just on a different plane. You're vibrating higher than other people, and it's going to irritate you that the rest of the world isn't catching up.
Oh, wow. Yes, for sure. If they would just behave the way I want them to, everything would be fine. Oh my
Exactly, right?
goodness. I'm so glad we touched on that. That came out of nowhere, but I'm sure it came out of somewhere,
Exactly. Yeah.
right?
There are no
Oh,
mistakes. There are no mistakes.
this is good stuff. All right,
Yeah.
did we get through your entire day? Or did we, I mean, because we stopped at the shower. Did we get
Yeah,
through
so
everything?
that's just really my morning
Okay.
meditations and my rituals.
Uh-huh.
And the fact that I love being able to work from home now is because
Mm-hmm.
I don't have to worry about being somewhere on someone else's, timeline and perceived schedule limitations and stuff like that. I want to be
Exactly.
able to do my thing
Mm-hmm.
because my thing, my work is so important to the planet,
Mm-hmm.
to humanity.
Mm-hmm.
And I've always known since I was a little girl
Mm-hmm.
that I'm supposed to be doing something on the grander scale that's going to really, impact humanity. And this is part of that work. However long it lasts, it may only last 2, 3 years. In fact, I only want it to last 2 or 3 years
Yeah.
because, again, I want to move into that place where life is just super easy and I don't have to get on client phone calls and do all the things that are literally work right now, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Even though it's joyous and I love it, it is still an obligation of mine, but it's self-imposed and I
Yeah.
love the work.
Yeah.
But I also know that in 3 years, I want to be fully retired and sitting on the beach every day. You know?
Perfect. Perfect. Yes, I love that you have that vision and that plan in mind and the belief that it can totally happen. I
Oh,
I love that you're talking about your work as joy because that was popping into my head and then you said it. So we are connecting, sister. We're
oh, we
like,
always
whoo,
have.
yes. And then the ritual part. I have said that, and I'm pretty sure I put it in a previous podcast. I even said when I was talking about going through my morning, I call it a ritual, not a routine. There is something about that word that feels more like I'm honoring myself, whereas a routine feels like, oh, I have to. These are things that I have to do. And so I'm all about language, language. I
Yeah.
love that you
So a
called it
routine
ritual.
might even feel like a contrived habit, right? Or something
Right.
that may you have to do it, right? If I
Hmm.
don't do this, something's going to happen or whatever. But a
Hmm.
ritual is something that feels deeply rooted, even from past lives, right?
Hmm.
Because there always were these rituals, and you can even call it tradition if you want, right? Because if you think about traditions in the sense of what is a family tradition,
Right.
that's also a ritual.
It is. Mhm. Sure is.
And there are personal rituals that we do. There are family rituals, and there are just things that you don't even know why you do them, but you want to do them, and they make you feel good when you do them. It's because you likely have done them in many past lives,
Mm.
and a lot of times they are powering up your energy centers.
Mm.
Those rituals have meaning, which is why you keep coming back to them.
Yeah. And that's the most important part, I think, of all of this, because we have touched on a lot of things that some listeners may go, whoa, that's way out there, which is fine. As you said early on, take the parts that resonate with you. Something is going to out of this whole conversation because it has just really covered so much. Something is going to, but I mean, at minimum, just tapping into your energy and recognizing those vibrations, recognizing, those sensations in your body and what feels good and what doesn't feel good. Again, understanding that good and bad and right and wrong are, you know, man-made constructs, but still, the difference between the energy that you feel inside and that what is coming from fear or what is coming from love. And
Yeah,
really connecting with those, I think, above, well, helps with all of this, right? Helps with this entire conversation.
it does. And inside of our monthly membership that is did we talk about that at all?
We haven't. We should at this point, because I started to a moment ago, but then we started talking about being invisible and we're just like, whoa, mind blown. Yeah, let's talk about how others can connect with you. How can one get into your sphere?
Yeah, absolutely. I would love to tell you more about it. In fact, it's a brand new membership, because before I was really trying to concentrate on a business type membership for business coaches,
Hmm.
because I've been so successful in business for so long, for over 20 years, that when I really realized I need to take all of that expert business acumen and put it towards spiritual coaches,
Hmm.
that's when this membership was born, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
And it's called Your Spiritual Growth. How simple could that be, right? It's called Your Spiritual Growth. And it's a
Yeah.
monthly membership where we just talk about, learn, discuss, and share experiences around all these different modalities, really. All, whether you're talking about astral travel or bilocating or invisibility or telepathy or all of these different things, we'll be talking about that
Hmm.
inside of this membership, Your Spiritual Growth.
Hmm.
And it's really designed to take anyone who's interested and bring them into this world of learning how to do the practice so that they can then share with other people. And when you
Hmm.
get to that point, because we will have always the business aspect in there,
Hmm.
because spiritual coaches need to make money so they can make more impact, right?
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, right. Right. It's about having resources, as you said. I mean,
Yes,
it's about that.
absolutely. So that's my whole goal behind this, is to raise people up in their vibration to feel like, their spiritual practice and learning these 5D powers is second nature, that they can then make their own business, whatever they want to concentrate on, even if it's just one aspect of it, and they can make their little ripples out in the world as well.
Hmm.
And then once they're there, let's get them to scale. So I have two separate programs, right? So it's Your Spiritual Growth for the people that are beginners wanting to come in, or people who just want to experience more, want to have more discussions, want to talk about more, haven't even thought about it as a business. Well, they might after a few months in the membership.
Hmm.
And when they're there, there's lots of resources that will be at your fingertips inside of the membership to grow a business. And
Hmm.
then once you're actually making money and you're like, well, now I really want to go big with this, we have a whole separate program that's called Scale Your Success.
Hmm.
And Scale Your Success is just where we help you literally scale your success so
Hmm.
that you can then become that millionaire who is going to go out and make not just ripples, but turn those into tsunamis of, I don't know, ascension practice, right? Really getting humanity to be at that place where we then can collectively ascend.
Mm, I
So it's
love
a
it.
huge undertaking, but I know that this is my purpose, that I'm supposed
Yeah.
to be doing this.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's
I mean, you're just lit up talking about it, so I know it is too. It's quite obvious. I love it. I will you're going to give me the links and I will add those to the show notes on how folks
yes.
can get more information
So my
about those
website
programs.
is just carleneselg.com.
Okay.
And then there's a separate link for to get to the page where we talk about the membership and all of that. So I'll give you all those links. Yeah, for sure.
Perfect. Perfect. All right. Any parting words, Carlene?
Oh my gosh. I
Like
think my
final
part,
words of wisdom?
if I have to say that, I don't know if I have any words of wisdom. I haven't thought about it. But other than that, just literally just keep love as your main focus. Because
Hmm.
if you can just bring it back to center, even if you're in the grip of anxiety or fear or whatever it is that you're
Hmm.
feeling, even if it's well, whatever that feeling is that falls under fear, right? All of those different emotions. If
Hmm.
you can just change your perception and bring it back to fear and bring it back to love and ground yourself,
Hmm.
your whole day will shift.
Yeah, it
And
will.
it's literally just practice.
Yeah. Practice, practice. All
Yeah.
right. I love it. I love ending on love too. It's a good
Yes.
thing. All right, woman. It's been wonderful.
Thank
Thank
you so much. It's been a privilege, really.
thank you. Oh, my privilege. All right. Take care.
Wow.
Okay. How are you feeling now? I hope your vibes are as high as mine were after visiting with Carlene. Did you hear the pure joy in her voice? That's what I'm talking about. Do what brings you joy. Find what lights you up. See if you can remember what that is for you. You know, sometimes we have to go back to childhood to remember who we were or who we wanted to be before the 3D world imposed all of its structure and rules around us. If you're trudging through mud in life and you're not fully enjoying your existence, then how about exploring alternatives? And this isn't even about changing your circumstances. If you've heard my other episodes, I don't advise changing your circumstances in order to feel better. What I think is a simpler approach is changing the way that you're viewing your experience of this life, finding your joy right where you are, which is what Carlene does. Yes, she packed up and moved to Florida, and she didn't do that from a place of seeking happiness or thinking that it would make her life better. She already loved her life where she was living and doing what she was doing. I know this for certain. She also knew that she could love it just the same, or even better, if she lived near the beach. It's about turning obstacles into opportunities and flowing through your life with an ease that feels right to you. It's about bringing that high vibe energy into all of your interactions and listening to your intuition. I know that I've certainly been inspired to try on for size some new ways of being and doing in my own life. I know that I'm so grateful for all of the interactions I'm having through coaching and really opening up to all of the possibilities and what other people who come into my life have to teach me. I think that when we can take a step back or out of our own version of our movie and start to consider that part we might actually be playing for the greater good, well, that's some very powerful stuff. It's exciting. Check out the show notes for all of the links to connect with Carlene. You'll be glad that you did. Get out there and find your joy. Light up. Shine on, starseed.